Hello, everyone. So today we got Trey Smith here from Buildbox. How you doing, Trey?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me, Gil. Really excited.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, Buildbox is a great software for making games with no code. And let's get it started. Can you explain in your words maybe what is Buildbox basically?
Yeah, cool. So we started Buildbox in 2015. And the goal was really simple is I tried to make a video game and I could not do it. And I went and downloaded all the software that was out there available to make games without coding. But most of them required, or actually, to be honest, all of them that I tried required some sort of scripting. Like you had to know if-then statements, some kind of basic stuff
Exactly,
like
man.
that. And I was like, you know what I want? I want to make a game like it's PowerPoint. I want to just pull in a character, an animation sequence for a character, and be like, make this guy jump. And so I was talking to one of my coders because we had a game business. We already, at this point, we had about 10 million downloads. We were doing okay. And I was talking to our main developer, who's now CTO partner in Buildbox. And I was like, hey, well, can we build something like that? And we made something really simple. It's called Project Zero. So Buildbox 3 is our 7th game development software that we've created. Most people think Buildbox just started. It's actually, we had 4 before that. It's always like the journey is super long, right? So,
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the idea. And so now we have, with Buildbox 3, which just came out, it's the only game development software that lets you create 3D games without code. You can do 2D games also without code. And that's our big focus, is building games without actually having to code or script or visually script or anything like that.
But you can script basically in Buildbox, right?
Controversially, yes. And that was something we heavily debated. So I actually fought Nick, our CTO partner, and he wanted to add low code. I did not, and he won that battle. And I think it was the right move because, we'll talk about this later in the little before we went live. Me and you were talking about how Buildbox had limitations, right? And that was inherent. Like you can't have no code with zero limitations. There's going to always be some. So by adding in low code into Buildbox 3 with JavaScript is how we do it. Now there are zero limitations. So anyone can build out and add on to the software and make things, share it with the community, build it just for yourselves and hoard it if you want to and don't want anyone else to have it. But that's that was an important part to really remove all the barriers.
That's incredible, man.
Thank you, man.
No, like the thing is, like I started on Click and Play. There was a software back in '95 or something that was called
Amiga or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
Whatever. And I started and I don't know how to code like you exactly. And I always wanted to create games without code. And the fact that you actually went and did that is insane. How did you meet Nick, or how did you even what was the process in creating a company that actually building I don't know, build a software is like a big deal, man. I don't know, for me,
Let me be honest with you. I'll be totally honest. Like building a game engine is hard as hell. Like if you want to get into the software business, it's probably the absolute worst way to get started. Just because it's so hard. It's insane. So, we happen to already be in this industry making games. I had a website called Game Academy where we'd sell courses on how to build video games. So we had an email list of about 70,000 people. We had 7,000 customers, and these customers were buying our courses. They'd be like the iPhone system, the game system, like how to create a business around games. No one was really teaching that. Udemy wasn't around back then, really. It was all kind of just starting out. And so our customers, we would tell them to do exactly how I found Nick, which is go to Odesk, it's now called Upwork, and then go hire a programmer and build your game. The problem is our customers were getting ripped off. And that's where I found Nick. I found Nick on Upwork, outsource site, and then now he lives here in Silicon Valley with me, and we work in the office. But we were telling people to do that, and they were getting ripped off. They were going out, and then they were hiring a programmer, and then weren't getting the jobs completed. It was a nightmare. And so that's where the idea was like, hey, I'm going to go try all this software out, and we're going to start in our courses teaching people to use competitive software now out there. I'm not going to mention any names, but some people out there. And then I went and tried it. And I knew our customers, and I was like, there's no way they're going to be able to do this because they're like me. Like they don't have
Exactly.
So then it's like many things in life, it was born out of necessity. There was no option. And I was like, okay, we got to create that. But to be honest, if you want to get in the software business, you know, there's a lot of easier ways to make money with software than a full 3D game development, you know, system. But we're passionate about it. We absolutely love it. And it's been a fun ride. And we've enabled some people to do some cool stuff. And that's pretty neat.
So basically, Buildbox is like would you describe it as a you know, like as a game software, like a software for developing hyper casual games? Sorry, I'm kind of stuck with my English. Like,
no, cool.
Are you hyper casual centered? Basically, like this is your goal to create to help people create hyper casual games.
So this is interesting. A lot of people don't know this. So we started out with Buildbox 1, and I made the first game ever, and it was called Phases.
Yeah.
And it hit the top 25. It was published by Ketchup.
I played
now. No, you did play Phases. I love Phases.
Of course.
And so, you know, the thing is, we had made this game builder that was no code, truly no code, and it was pretty simple. The game builder couldn't make super complex games, so it made sense that we would make a hyper casual game. But when we came out with Buildbox 1 in 2014, hyper casual did not exist. No one called these games hyper casual, and we were the third game that Ketchup ever published. So arguably, we were like probably one of the first 5 hyper casual games ever on the App Store.
Wow.
So then our customers saw the success that, you know, I had with Phases, and they started making those games. They started pitching publishers like Ketchup and Nanovation and Absolute, and later on, of course, Color Switch was made with our software, and many other hit games. So I recently met with someone here, I'd rather not say the company, but a really well-known company out here, and they were like, hey, do you think that Buildbox like kickstarted the hyper casual craze? And you know, trying to be somewhat humble, I think it probably did, because we made the first software that anyone could use to make a game, and the software was simple, so it could only make hyper casual games. Buildbox.
Exactly. 1. Yeah. I know.
So there, and here, if you don't mind, I'll share my screen real quick.
Oh yeah, sure. Do that.
If I can do this correct. All right, can you see my screen here?
Yeah. Hey.
And boom. Yeah. All right. That worked. Cool, man. So,
yeah.
So that was, you know, it was almost like the perfect marriage. It was the perfect marriage at the perfect time. It wasn't planned, but yeah, it did kind of work out like that. Now, cool. For anyone I see the next question is, what are hyper casual games? For anyone that doesn't know, and we'll talk more about this. I don't know if hyper casual is even an actual word. I'll explain why. In my mind, hyper casual was like the games you saw, like Phases, these minimally styled, simple games, usually one-touch controls, typically portrait, and they're very simple to play. You can pick up and play it. I believe that's evolved, but I don't want to spoil the questions and some of the stuff we'll go over. But hyper-casual games are simple games. They're casual, but they're also hyper. They're fast-moving. A lot of times you're competing with high score, And it's not like a social game where you're building up a lot of activity and progression and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Now, I saw a few articles about hyper casual games, and some of them say that hyper casual games are some sort of like a gimmick that might like go away soon. Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I thought that was totally true. I thought 100% that was true. Back in 2014. All right.
Okay.
So that's when Phases came out. 2048 came out in 2013. And then Phases came out, and I was really concerned because Buildbox became this hyper casual game maker, Buildbox 1. And I was like, this is a fad. I do not think it's going to last. And here we are 5 years later. And it's like right now, if you pull out your phone and you look at the top of the App Store, it's all hyper casual games. So, I mean, if you talk to anyone out here where we are in the tech scene, where you are, same thing.
Yeah.
Like everyone is all about hyper casual. It's dominating the App Store. So now we get into what is the word hyper casual. Yeah, simple, minimal games like Phases are dying out for sure. And some of the games that are hyper casual with Voodoo are these more complex, like you're playing a football game, or you're doing one of these whole IO games where there's all this stuff like, falling down the hole.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I think, now I think we've just started calling casual games hyper casual because it's a trendy word. So I think that hyper casual games are not really. I think it's just casual games. I think we started just calling hyper casual games and casual games hyper casual games. So do I think casual games are dying? No way. It's like the Target demo. It's the game that the 60-year-old grandmother play and the 5-year-old son. So
that's the game that I play in the bathroom. I don't want to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
I do not think that casual games will ever go away, and I think really at this point, hyper casual is just casual games. So
yeah, cool. So I think that when I think about casual, like hyper casual games, I think about games with a simplified graphics. I don't know. I don't know if
me too. And now it's not really like that. Like everyone's calling Voodoo the biggest hyper casual publisher, and they really just have a bunch of casual games. Exactly. I agree with you on that.
Okay, cool. So, so I know that you also make games, right? Like yourself, like. Besides the fact that you are the CEO of Buildbox, you also are a one-man studio. Is that a correct term for what you got, like what you're doing?
Yeah, so it's me and Nick, my partner. I'll make a game, then he makes a game, and then I'll make a game, then he makes a game.
Are we taking turns or something like that? How
we gotta take turns, and it would just be like one of us would get inspired. Usually, it was playing with Buildbox, and we come up with a new feature, and then I would make something be like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And vice versa. We worked on some games together. We made a game for Bruce Lee called Bruce Lee Dragon Run.
I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a fun game. That was when we worked on together. So, so we typically could go back and forth. We haven't made a game in about 8 months because of working on Buildbox 3. That took like all of our time. The 3D engine was so much more complex than the 2D engine.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that kind of killed us making games for a little while. And now after post-acquisition, we work on games with other, like we did with Bruce Lee, we're focused more on that, working with bigger IP out there and helping them with their games instead of just making our own indie games like we were doing before. But still, that's where all of this came from, was the game business that we had created. And we've like you, we've made over 100 games. Out of those, 10 were a hit.
Yeah.
And 8 were at the top of the App Store, the top 25.
It's like a funnel, you put a lot of games inside the funnel. Some of them will succeed. It's very hard to predict, right?
Very hard. Most people I know have had success, made a bunch of games. Most people I know did not make one game and have hit. Color Switch, I think it was like his 15th game, something like that. So, yeah, most people work hard at it. It's not easy.
I actually heard Angry Birds were like Angry Birds is the like a few versions after they tried, to make a game that will succeed.
Yeah, I think that was their 20th something game too.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah. And we did the same thing. We had a bunch of bombs, a bunch of crappy games, you know how it is.
But you now have over like 65 million downloads for your games, right?
Yeah, I think we're at 70 million downloads now.
70 million.
Yeah, 70 million.
Sorry, I will delete the fuck. Yeah, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so it's been a fun ride. It's been fun, but I definitely now at this stage, I love making games, but now I really enjoy adding to the software and then empowering our guys, our customers, to make stuff. That's where the passion lies at this point. But I love the games we made. It was a really fun experience.
That's insane. Now, like, as you know, I'm a game developer myself, and I know a lot of the guys who are listening are game developers or aspiring game developers. Now, I think that in Israel, and I think maybe in general, people want to know like a few tips from somebody who already like have so many like downloads or made money from his games. What can you share about? Like what? And I know you've written a book about that as well, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you have like a lot of tips for aspiring developers. Like how do you make a game that will succeed, or how do you make money from a game? I don't know.
Yeah, sure. So I think there's three things. There's three really important things.
Okay, cool.
The first one, and so many people make this mistake, is they try to reinvent the wheel. They try to come up with something that has never been done.
Yes, I love you that you said that.
Yeah.
It's so important.
Hey, cool. Super Mario Brothers wasn't the first platformer. Super Mario Brothers was heavily based on Pitfall.
Yeah, exactly.
Angry Birds, it was heavily based on Crush the Castle. Minecraft was heavily based on Infiniminer. If you take Clash of Clans, all the people from Clash of Clans Supercell, they came from Digital Chocolate, and they created a game there that was very similar to Clash of Clans, called, I think, Galaxy Life or something like that. So like everything is a remix. And now that doesn't mean you take the artistry out of games. You don't want to rip off anyone. And a lot of people did. A lot of people don't know this, but Pong from Atari was a direct pixel for pixel ripoff. They got sued and almost went bankrupt because Magnavox made the Odyssey and created Pong, and Atari ripped them off. I think that's bad. They almost lost their whole company because of that. And everyone knows Pong now, but a great way to do it, I think the best example ever is Nintendo. And if you look at the original Super Mario Brothers, yes, platformers were around. Yes, Pitfall came before. But what they did is they modeled that game, and then they improved it. They added things like the mushroom. They added in more dynamic. They added the pipes, right?
Yeah.
Like Miyamoto, he added like really amazing new things to a proven gameplay model.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I think that's you want to find something proven, and then you want to make it even better and more unique by adding your artistic flair.
Cool.
So, yeah, that's the first thing. Because if you come up with something totally new for your first game, then it's not proven. You don't know if people are going to like it. But if you can come up with a firm
they probably won't,
Yeah, they probably won't. Not your first game. Do it on your 10th game. Do it on your 10th game.
You don't know what works. You never built a game before. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we're talking about, anyone listening, we're talking about the foundation. We're not talking about ripping off other people. That sucks. You don't want to do that. But the foundation of your game needs to be rooted in something that people like to do. So that's number one. Number two is, if you're a new game developer, make your character small. Do not make it big. This is like the biggest rookie mistake I see with game developers is they have a huge character because they're proud of this character and they want to see it. And the problem is, if you're playing a game and your character's this big, there's no room. You're going to constantly die. You're going to make the game really difficult, and it's not going to be nimble. Now,
so you can predict what is like upcoming, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can't see. Yeah, because the character's so big you can't even see. So what I recommend doing is getting like Super Mario Brothers, Angry Birds, any game on your phone, take a screenshot of it, and then put your character on top and see the size of your character based upon really popular games. I bet you, if you're new, it's going to be twice as big.
That's a great.
And that's going to make the game harder.
Definitely.
Then the last tip, this is another thing I see a lot with new developers, is space. Like in your game, it's similar to the character size. A lot of people have really intricate, tight. It's almost like you're playing like Operation and you're like, oh my God, it's like so hard, right? You want to have a lot of open space, a lot of open movement, let the game feel open and free and not crowd the game. So many people, when they're new, for some reason, they just always have huge characters, crowded spaces, and some unique idea, and then the game bombs and they get out of game development.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so I want to ask you about so the Buildbox, when I first met it, it cost like the pricing was like crazy, right? It was like $2,000.
Really expensive. Yeah.
Wow, I don't know. It was crazy.
$3,000 almost. Yeah.
It was 3,000, and I remember like a year and a half ago or whatever. I don't know how long it was. I told myself, okay, so $3,000, I can like maybe if I split it into few months, maybe I can pull it off and stuff like that. But then you change the model, and now actually you're having like a free version is like Yeah, cool. So I want to hear about maybe the free version, and then we can talk about like the acquisition and
Sure. Cool. The one reason I did the acquisition was so we could do the free version. So I'll explain pricing.
I know it's all interconnected. Yeah.
So I'll explain pricing strategy for, and this is really good for any entrepreneurs out there starting a business. Okay. So when we launched Buildbox, we had a very, very small group of people, okay? And if you want to build a company that has significant revenue to grow that company and you have a small amount of people, then you only have one option, which is to have an expensive price. Because if we came out at $99 a month back in 2014, we would have been making around $5,000 a month and we would have gone bankrupt in 6 months and Buildbox would not be here. Okay, so it was very controversial that I chose the price $2,600. It's also the only reason that we are here as a company today. So as soon as we grew, and we grew past like the 150, 200 mark of customers, then we moved to $99 a month, which is still very high for game development software. As we grew past 1,000 customers, we went down to $35 a month, then 15, et cetera. So as we grew the community, we were able to charge cheaper and still operate, hire developers, and grow the product. So if you are starting a company and you have a very small amount of people to actually service and to get as customers, then you have to charge high prices or get funding. And we went with the high price route. And then to do free, now this is an interesting issue. So we have 5,000 customers, right? If you want to come up with a free product, how do you come up with a free product with 5,000 customers without completely tanking the company? Because if all those people jump ship, our payroll doesn't go down, right? We have 15 employees. Then you're in a situation where you release a free product and you lose 25% of your user base and you start firing your developers and you start having to let go people in the company, which is terrible. And on top of that, your product suffers and then you just go boom, right? So that was a big issue. And I wanted to do a free product. And when I met Apple on Board and John and Brian from the Apple on Board team, and we really hit it off. And we had it. Yeah, it was like the most amazing thing ever. Because we've had a lot of people try to buy Buildbox, but this was the first time that someone contacted me and said, hey, we're interested in the company and we want to just let you grow it how you want. Like exactly what's your plan. I told him the plan. He goes, that's perfect. Yeah, come on board and we'll do it. And now, because they're a bigger company, right? They have funding and they have all these resources. So we're able to build out a free version. We can take a hit because if you do a free version, you're going to take a hit, but then you're going to come back up because the community grows.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it can grow exponentially, like it can grow like massively, right?
Exactly. And that was always the challenge is how do we survive the dip? And so with a bigger company backing us and supporting our vision, then that's exactly what we're going to focus on. So we're going to be announcing a release date soon, but it will not be too far. It'll be this quarter. We will be coming out with a free version. I'm really excited about that. And it will be a free version you can upload, make money on. You know, it's not going to be like some BS free version that you can't. So that'll be good.
Basically what you're saying is you're going to have like maybe a logo in the beginning, in the opening?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, definitely have a logo on there. We're still figuring it out, but probably we're definitely going to let you monetize with ads because that's what most people want to do. Yeah. And there'll be some limitations, but it's not going to be like you can't use 3D or because we talked about that, you know, or you can't use nodes or you can't code in it. Like we're not going to remove a major feature. So
yeah. Okay, cool. This is like actually really important, you know. Like I appreciate you guys like giving like a version you can actually do stuff with, you know.
Yeah, definitely. That's important because we want 1 million people using the free version to really grow the community and then, you know, grow the product and everything that we're doing. And I think that's going to be an important step.
Now, for people who don't know, you've been acquired by you've been acquired, right?
Yeah.
Now, my question is, you guys talk about the no-code movement, and this is one of the reasons, you know, like it really interests me. Like, what basically is it? Like, what is the no-code movement? Because I'm a non-coder, but I love to do technical stuff. And for me, like no code seems like a crazy thing that you can do stuff, you know, like real stuff, like software, gaming with no code. But yeah, so I heard you guys talking about that, the no code movement. Like, what is that basically?
Yeah, cool. So, you know, what's interesting is when we started Buildbox, no one said no code. Actually, until App on Board contacted me and said they were interested in buying Buildbox, they said, yeah, so you're like really a big figure in this no code thing with this software. And I'd never heard the term no code. I didn't even know we just didn't focus on it, right? So for us, it was just about building games without programming. We called it code less, and apparently other people call it but yeah, we missed the boat on that. But what's interesting is when we came out with Buildbox, it was controversial. Like we had a lot of haters because developers were like, hey, this is taking jobs from developers. And we were like, look, you can make a game like Phases that hits the top 25 of the App Store in 2 weeks. I made that game in 2 weeks. So, like, why do hard work if you don't have to?
Exactly.
And that was my opinion the whole time. It was like, I don't think in 100 years everyone's going to be coding. It's like we have to have. Hey, listen, everything's gotten easier. If you want to order food, you pick up.
Exactly.
And it comes to your door, right? AWS, it's not like we're doing hard back-end stuff. Now we have Amazon Web Services. But the development got harder. Development got 10 times harder. There's more libraries. There's more frameworks. It's like now even web services, there's so much crap. So why is that got easier? And that's kind of what we're focused on is making it easier for everyone and removing the barriers. So anyone can create a game, anyone can create software without having to go to school for 4 or 5 years and be technical minded like that. So
this is crazy that you say that. You know, I work with a lot of developers, and some of them, you know, you introduce them to tools that make life easier. But a lot of developers actually appreciate hard work more for some reason, and I just cannot understand why. Why don't you like want to make your life simpler? You know.
So there's a great book. Let's see if I have it. I think I have it here. It's oh man, I got it somewhere over here, and it discusses this in detail, and it talks about how when cars came out, people were really. They were against cars. They were like, the horses are dependable. These cars, they're going to run off the road. They're going to kill people. And the same thing when steam engines came out, it was, this is going to kill you because when you breathe in the steam, it's like every technological innovation ever has been met with severe criticism. Right now, we're seeing it with phones. And, like people are saying, oh, phones are bad. They're going to ruin, especially like the older generation is saying, hey, why are these kids on their phones? They don't talk to each other. Well, that's all they're doing is talking on their phones. They're talking to people all over the world on their phones. And I think this is a similar thing where people see a new innovation, a new push, and it scares them because it disrupts what they're doing. And I get it,
when somebody like invented the wheel, the person that didn't know that said like, what the fuck, man?
Oh yeah, we're gonna be lazy or our muscles are gonna go. Yeah.
Exactly. So like it goes back like so many generations.
Yeah. 100%.
Every generation think like the next generation is like a crap, but it's not like that. We are evolving all the time, and it's not necessarily bad. Like we're still like human beings, we still okay, I don't know.
Oh, I told my daughter, so I got 2 daughters, and I said, listen, you will always be smarter than me. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, and your kids will be smarter than you. I said, do you think that we're smarter now or someone from 100 years ago? And she was like, oh, well, we're going to be smarter now than the people 100 years ago, obviously. So that scales. It's like the younger generation. And you know why? Because they don't have this fear of new technology until something else comes out. And then they're scared of their kids.
Yeah.
So,
But I don't know what can come up, like we have VR. Like this is the ultimate thing. Like what else can come up?
I'll tell you, it'll be like some sort of brain thing. That scares the shit out of me, right? It'll be something where my granddaughter will be getting a brain implant, and then my daughter will be like, "Oh my god, that's people."
Like Black Mirror. I don't know if you saw it like that.
Exactly like that. And then in 50 years, everyone will have brain implants. No one's going to care. So
I don't know, man. Okay, so so people ask me about other genres in a Buildbox. So basically, Buildbox have a different like templates that the people can work with. Like, are you planning on like introducing like different genres, like maybe I don't know, tower defense or idle games or stuff like that? I don't know.
Yeah, so already doing that. So with Buildbox 3. This is our branch away from just hyper casual. So we're focusing more on the indie market, and you'll be able to create all that stuff and more. We're working on templates to make it really easy for people and nodes and pieces to be able to put together. But yeah, that's already a big focus for us with Buildbox 3. Now that we've moved into 3D, we're going to be focusing a lot on indie development.
Cool, great. And about like App on Board, right? So you've got acquired by a company called App on Board.
Yeah.
Now, I'm guessing like for you guys, it's been a trade-off, right? So a lot of like, what is the advantages of being acquired, and what is maybe like the disadvantages? I'm sure there are a few, right?
Yeah. So advantage-wise is pretty obvious. We get tons of resources. We can hire more developers. We can do things that go free and not worry about taking a financial hit because they have more money than we do. For future investment, they have connections, all that kind of stuff. A big thing is we wanted to move into enterprise sales and sell to big companies like out here in Silicon Valley and around the world. And we didn't have the infrastructure. We didn't have a sales team. We didn't really know how to do that, to be honest with you. I'd never done that before. And now with them, that's a core focus that we're doing now. To be honest with you, on the disadvantages, I don't have any, and I'll tell you why. Because they gave me complete control. So they did not say, which is really, really rare. They 100% said, hey, we believe in your vision and we just want to support it. And, now we're a month in and there's not one thing that they've said, no, don't do that. Or I think that's a bad thing to focus on, or, trying to put, a lot of companies would want to put like their spin on our software, make it promote them. They're not doing anything like that. So they've been amazing to work with. I've come on to help them grow their side as well as a chief growth officer of their company, which I've really enjoyed too. So it's, I haven't seen a single negative thing. So it's been super positive so far. And that's the only reason I did the deal. This was the fourth deal where someone's tried to acquire us and I turned everyone else down. But the reason I did this is because it was because of that. So
yeah, it seems like they're like right in like on your path, like you guys and they're like you guys like share a lot of the same values, right?
yeah, 100%. So we're building a company that we want to be like the Adobe of the no code movement. So
Respect for that, man.
Yeah. So that's so it was a core piece, and they had the enterprise side, we had the indie side, so it was just a perfect marriage, and they're supporting me 100%.
Cool, this is great. And yeah, I think we got everything I think covered. Anything else that you wanna like share with the audience, like here in Israel? I don't know, like people are like really wanna like know stuff about game development and like your software. So,
yeah, well, we're working on some things actually come out there. And I know Zach on our team is working on coming out there. I might be able to come out there myself. It'd be great to meet some of the developers out there. Would be really cool. And yeah, just make sure you check out buildbox.com. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram to see what we're up to. And yeah, we're just pushing forward, man. We're just trying to make it easier and easier.
So is stuff gonna change now that you got acquired? Just basically, like, because I'm like a fan basically, so I know what's been up with you guys, but like
Gotcha.
yeah, but is stuff gonna change like with the software? Is like things are, I don't know, because I like where you guys are going right now,
Yeah, no. So we just hired someone from a Buildbox user who's been extremely helpful, both publicly and privately with me. We hired him to help us with adding more nodes that are really meaningful and deep node structure to the software.
Yeah.
That's getting kicked off today. Then we have a new Android developer that's getting kicked off next week to improve Android support. And
cool.
And then we have one other developer who's helping with SDK integrations. We want to make using ad networks really easy again in Buildbox 3. Complicated.
Yes,
so we got a new developer doing that. Free version coming in the next couple months, and we're releasing a new training portal and a new documentation and a manual and in-app documentation, and all of those things are because of the acquisition. So none of those on our plate or plan. We wanted to do all those things, but we just didn't have the resources or the finances to do it. So I think it's going to be a dramatic improvement because we built this amazing community. We built really unique software. But to be honest with you, as a bootstrap small company, we were just maxed out, man. We were.
I know you were like 4 or 5 or whatever people. No, yeah. How many were you?
Yeah, it was we were maxed out, and as we started building more 3D software, the demands from the community, rightfully so, were like, hey, we need more here, we need more here. So now I'm just so relieved to be able to fulfill exactly what our customers want. And that's what we're focused on. So,
dude, I'm so happy, like for you guys as a company and for us as a game developers that we have this option to create software like this easily and this like in such quality, and I don't know, like I feel like we're living in a crazy time, I don't know, like, and I'm really happy you guys are in the scene, like, because a lot of people are looking for alternatives for the hardcore game development software, and you guys provide like the ultimate alternative. And I really hope you guys, I don't know, do something great like you keep on, doing.
That's the goal, my man. So I appreciate your support. And we'll keep on trying. It's, hey, look, I always said that Buildbox 3 was the software I wanted to make in 2014. We just didn't have the resources. Like back then, barely had the resources now to even come out with it until the acquisition. So, this is like the beginning. This is the beginning of the race for us. Buildbox 1 and 2 were like the pregame, and now the game starts, and we're getting serious, and we're trying to build what I think will be an amazing tool for people to create anything they want without having to code. And so we're there. So the race starts now, and just stick around and see what we're doing, because it'll be exciting next few months.
You mean like serious? People say like Unreal, Unity, Buildbox, like that serious?
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're going for, but we're going after a different market too. So, it's, because we're not going after the developer market. There's plenty of solutions for people who want to code a game for 1 year and crank it out, right? And so we're trying to open up the market, go after the creator market, the maker market. But yeah, I think that we will see games that are at that quality level coming out of the Buildbox community. I do think that for sure, which would be great. Yeah, man.
Okay, cool. Trey, thank you very much for being on here on Facebook Live on Gamers Group. This is incredible. I had the honor to host this event, and cool. And we'll keep in touch. And I don't know, I'm waiting for new stuff, And the free version, of course. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'll get to work. All right, awesome.
Bye, man. Love you.
All right, see you later.
Bye-bye.